I can't wait to hear Montag's questions for Matt Thompson. Like I said, I know he's chomping at the bit in that one.
I'm just excited, man. I really liked Matt. He's been the longest drummer King Diamond has had, like 17 years now.
Yeah.
And coming in and filling in the shoes for Mickey D, and they're good friends. That's what I want to always ask, like the turnover. Like we always hear about rock bands being marriages, and sometimes there's a divorce, and like the new spouse comes in. Mickey D's gone from King Diamond, and here comes Matt Thompson. Is there any weird feelings? Is it like, oh, yeah, I tapped that before you did. I mean, what?
Right? Yeah. Sloppy seconds.
It's like, yeah, that's why I want to find out. Like, is there any weirdness, or is it because it's a business and people are just kind of going to switching gigs and playing with this group? Is it a whole different kind of experience?
Right on.
And but I always wanted to ask, like, what the hell do you do? Because there's been such a big gap between Give Me Your Soul, Please and now.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, like you can't sit around for 5 years and do nothing. So I know he does drum clinics and things like that, but it was neat to hear Justin say he's got a day job. Like, I mean,
works at the hospital.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
A regular guy doing a job.
Yeah.
Doing a job,
having fun, doing a job. Well, all right, let's get into the second half.
Where did we leave? We left off in Power Windows.
We got Power Windows, yeah.
We're going on Power Windows.
All right, well, let's get the show on the road.
Hey, everybody, this is Justin from Sorcerer.
And Christian.
And you guys are listening to and watching
Heavy Metal.
I am Montag, master of illusion. What goes up must come down, but not always.
Hey, this is Chop Top, and keep it synthy.
And the Bowl of Dread.
And you are listening to
Heavy Metal Horror. Your fingers are disappearing. Your devil horns were disappearing.
I'm not so much devilly now. I'm nubs. I'm nibby. I got nib devil horns.
Devil nubs.
Oh, well, kids, we are continuing our Rush deep dive tonight. We're going to finish up Synth Under Pressure. We got a couple mid-'80s albums and a live album to go through. And I think we just get right into it. Let's talk. We got 1985's Power Windows. My overview is keyboards and synth sounds dominate this album, outshining Lifeson's guitar, sometimes reducing it to a simple chord strums or trumpet blast screeches. But his solos are still strong and remind us that this is still a rock band. The album is brighter in tone, but not necessarily cheery. Peart's lyrics aren't as bleak, but are often directed at commentary at popular culture and politics. A few story songs are welcome respites. Ooh, fancy.
Oh,
wow, look at
I
you.
got a mouth
scripted.
prettier than a $2 horse.
All scripted and everything.
Exactly.
Man.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess my initial thoughts on this album was I thought it had great production. I think I hear Geddy's voice better in the mix than on Grace Under Pressure. That was kind of one of my first things that I noticed. I agree. This is where it's real strong. The synth is really taken over, but it's still great. Some good songs on here. Let's start with Big Money. The Big Money, another great opener. Really like the rhythm.
Let's Dreadbull give his overview before we get track.
Sorry.
Track by track.
Go ahead, Dread.
Okay, yeah. This is the particular era. Lifeson had actually by this time had expressed some resistance to the synth domination that had crept in over the last couple albums during this era. And I guess that's the closest they ever come to a band fight. Is expressing some resistance when it comes to Rush. So he thought that this album was a little better a balance between the guitar and synth sounds. He thought it was much closer to like Moving Pictures than Grace Under Pressure,
Mhm.
which, you know, I agree. I didn't think it was as heavy synth as Grace Under Pressure, this particular album. I thought it was, at least you could hear the guitars a little better. They brought the guitars a little more forward, and it wasn't quite as like cascading synthiness, you know, as so, you know, I like the sound of this one. I think of this particular era. I think this is maybe my favorite album.
I'd agree.
So yeah, that's where I'm at here. I think this is my fave.
Okay.
of
Well,
the four.
Chop, sorry for interrupting you.
No,
earlier,
I'm
but
sorry.
let's get back
I
into
went
big
off
money.
script,
Jump
so-
into big
Yeah,
money,
Yeah, stop jumping off script for Christ's sake.
you rat
Big
bastard.
money. The big money
Or
shot.
non-existent script.
Yeah. I just said another great opener. Really like the rhythm on it. The whole. Can't even read my own writing on this one.
Perfect.
I just like. I think the band shines on this one as a whole, and it's another great Rush opener, which you come to expect from pretty much all their albums. They always open strong with a really good opener. So
Dread.
that's what I had.
Yeah, this is a pretty progressive track. You know, another song. Here's Neil, a big song about the sheer size and power of the global economy. But yeah, it's progressive. There's a lot of interesting details going on in this one. You know, Neil is still experimenting with different drum sounds. I thought this album sounds more like something off of like Signals than Grace Under Pressure. Maybe getting, you know, like I said, they're trying to find a better balance with the guitars and stuff on this one. So and so that's a good thing in my opinion. So yeah, I like this song. Really good tune.
Yeah, I like it too. This song is actually based on a trilogy of novels by John Dos Passos called the USA Trilogy. And it's about the struggles of characters in post-World War I era America. The novel focuses on greed and the never-ending search for more.
Wow.
And so, again, Neil Peart, the literate person that he was, drew from a novel series, you know, series of novels, and wrote this great track. It was
Nerd.
inspired. yeah, readings,
What a
readings for
nerd.
dummies. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, but this is a hallmark of what he does. You know, throughout his whole tenure in Rush is based, you know, a lot of things that they read about and were excited about, and you know, it culminates in their grand finale album, which in itself is like a novel. You know, it's a concept. So yeah, I think it's great. So while I'm here for big money, I will switch to Grand Designs, which I find here's Peart's commentary on the superficiality of society, focusing on consumerism, power, and politics. So I see these two bleeding together, and that was kind of my notes for that one. But it's you know, this album, like you said, it's a very pop, but I think I agree with you. It's a good blend of the synth and guitars, but it's heavier. I hear more of the synth than I do a lot of the times than not. But it's a little bit of a lighter album. I think this, but it's still serious though. There's still no fantasy escapism yet. You know,
Right.
Talking about these issues that are affecting the globe. You know, in a way, this global perspective on things.
Yeah, I agree with all the insight that you had in the song, but I like the synth on the song. It doesn't bother me as much, and I think Lifeson's solo is very interesting, very tasty on this track. So that's something that stood out a lot for me with Grand Designs.
Yeah, I got no notes on this. I'm struggling to like get my head back. Like I wrote these notes 3 weeks ago, I think probably, and I'm like going like, what the hell was I thinking during this? You know, so yeah, let's just move on. I got no notes on Grand Designs.
Well, there it is.
I don't know what I thought.
Yeah,
I
That
still
was
don't know
3
what
weeks
I
ago. You
think.
expect me to remember? God damn.
That's way in the past.
Project. Yeah, Manhattan Project. It's about the development of the first atomic bomb, and its continuing impact on everyone. Another light theme. So I really like. There's this nice break at when the lyrics "flying out of the shockwave," where it's quiet. I think reinforcing the moment that changed everything. You know, just that it's just nothing but the vocals. You know, before the music kicks in. I saw them play this on the first tour. I saw them on the Presto tour, and this is one of the songs that they had played. This and actually the next song. But I've always liked this song. It's the drive. The lyrics are serious, and again, we're talking about you're making these connections between the single act, and then but he's involving the scientist. He's also involving the pilot. He's like continuing the narrative through 3 different points of view, drawing in like how does this person feel, the scientists feel, what their goals are, and then the pilot of the Enola Gay flying out of the shockwave, like when they realized what they had done, you know, what was the impact on them as people, as soldiers, you know, when you realize you've dropped a bomb that just killed 100,000 people, that how does that feel, you know?
I had on this another highlight song for me on the album. I love the chorus, verses, and of course the lyrics that you've already well discussed. It's just another highlight. Manhattan Project.
Yeah, continuing a lot of interesting details in this song. That section in the middle is really cool. It almost sounds like there's a stringed instrument in there or cellos or something going on.
It does sound like doesn't it sound like strings, right? It might be very strings. It could be, you know, synth.
Yeah, just really cool little detail. I really like the mix and the production here. But I'm starting to, in my notes here, it's another song that and this whole era of Rush I struggled to connect, like have an emotional connection with this music. And as I'm re-listening to all these songs and stuff, I'm sitting there going, why? I don't know why. Like I'm trying to figure out, and we can get into it later. I think I might have figured it out, but really have a tough time just connecting emotionally with this era of Rush.
Yeah, I think because they had changed as a band, and you were changing too, you know, as you aged, but the lyrics are not as, and the music is not as fanciful or experimental. It may be experimental in a different way, but it was more of this was more of the zeitgeist, the spirit of the era, the kind of music with the synth. This is all the big 80s.
Yeah.
You know, and Rush had defied those kind of conventions earlier on. They weren't, except for the first album, which was very mid-70s hard rock, but they were doing something completely that no one else was doing, inspired by previous prog bands like Rush or like, you know, Yes and King Crimson and those kinds of guys. But I think that might be part of it there, Dreadbull. I wonder if that's part of the disconnect.
Could be. Yeah. I don't know if I fully quite understand it, but and maybe it's just the style of music that, you know, doesn't really click well with me. More poppy kind of stuff is never really, you know, never really does it for me. It's a little too
Except the song Pop Music, which you love to death.
I did love that.
Yeah.
Pop music.
Right.
Yeah. And
we would listen to that song. We were spending the night at your house, and we were over there at the side room, aside from your bedroom, and something with paints or doing
that
something. Yeah, we must have listened to that song 30 times in a row. You know,
a little on what was that? A little 45. Yeah, pop music and M Factor was on the other side.
Right,
was on the
right.
B side of that.
Yeah, it was just
what was the name of the group? I don't even remember. M was the name of the group. Okay,
right, the letter M.
Factor. I don't know what it was about that. Yeah. There's the one pop song that really got me.
All right, Trop, did you talk about Manhattan Project? I can't remember.
Yes.
All right, everyone's talk about it. Talk about pop music. All right, well, let's move on to Marathon. I think this is like Peart's metaphor about life. You know, it's all about how you conduct yourself as you race through it. And persistence and endurance are more important than speed. Except I like Lee's bass line is really busy in this, perhaps mimicking the race in a way, I'm thinking, or your heart as it's pounding. And I really like the chorus. You know, it almost sounds like a bit angelic with the heavy keyboard coming in. It's almost like the lights. You can see the lights like shining down, you know. But I really like this song, you know, a lot.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on Montag on its standout bass line by Getty. And it does give you that feeling like he's in the race, you know, and stuff. And again, the lyrics again, the reflectiveness about how, you know, with life, you know, that analogies that Peart again makes, you know, Peart makes, and he does so well in so many songs. But another one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, those weird tinny sort of guitar strum chords that Alex played a lot in Grace Under Pressure are here in this song, but they're a little more subdued, so it's kind of reasonable. But they came back and like, oh no, please, not more of this, because those drove me crazy. But more reasonable in this one. So I also had a note about Getty's bass lines in this. His bass play in this song is amazing.
Yes.
The instrumental section in the middle is fantastic. And I think so. Yeah, the verse in the middle has a verse that Getty really actually sings with some emotion, and that's when I started to realize maybe that's what's been missing. Like if you go back, Signals, Grace Under Pressure, Getty's singing is fine, but there's no real emotion. I think maybe because as I think about it, like the stuff that we like, 2112, he's playing characters, and so he's singing with an emotion of a character. And here, these are just songs about philosophy and things like that, and there's no, he's not portraying a character maybe, and so maybe that's why there's not the emotional element in his singing in this era that maybe is gone. And I think that might have something, because that struck me as I was listening to this song, like, oh, he's singing with some emotion, like that grabbed my attention, like maybe that's what's going on here. Maybe that's the missing, at least part of the thing that's missing for me. And I enjoy that in this song. Like he's singing fine, and but doesn't put a lot of passion behind most of the lyrics in this. His delivery in this era.
Right. Yeah, I can totally see that now. I think he does. You hear that in After Image. There's a couple songs on Grace Under Pressure where you definitely hear that. But yeah, I'm looking back at songs like Red Barchetta and Hemispheres.
And Witch Hunt and
Yeah,
things
Witch
like
Hunt.
that.
Right.
There's-
Yeah. Tom Sawyer. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. You might be onto something there, Fred. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's when the thought hit me, like, oh, okay, I haven't heard this in a while. Getty singing with some passion, some emotion.
Yeah. Huh. It could be. Okay. His busy bass line that you had mentioned, carries over into the next song, Territories. I found he's got a really busy bass part in this too. Territories has this very Chinese sounding musical notes that kind of go with the lyrics. And there's a contrasting the sense that all of us have to live in these eternal homes above the very ugly reality of how political and national affiliations keep us separated and focused myopically, rather than on the great wonders beyond us. I'm waxing so eloquent here in my 3-week-old notes. But what I like was the chorus and the bridge are damning, and the use of indifferent and indifferent is poetry, I think, to use that. And we have lyrics here. His lyrics are biting and sarcastic. Better people, better food, better beer. Added that little note of sarcasm there. And so I think here's Peart's, maybe the global desire for a global community comes out, and the way he refers to a flag, which, being patriotic, I struggle with, when a colorful rag is unfurled, I think, well, he says, better the pride that resides in a citizen of the world than the pride that divides when a colorful rag is unfurled. And there's still part of me that it strikes me as someone who's rather patriotic and loves my country, but I can understand what he's saying. Look, it's not worth killing people over, in a way. Like, we have different ideologies, but wouldn't it be better if we just kind of focus on the things that we have in common, and instead of the things that divide us, which we're going through that now in our own country. We're divided more now than I can ever remember. Maybe since
in our lifetimes, I think
before 9/11. But so this song challenges me, and I'm trying to seek out what he means. I think I've got a good assessment of it, but it's his wish. I think this is Peircean philosophy and his hope.
And probably, a lot of these bands, like a band like Rush, who's had the opportunity to travel the world, and play in front of many different audiences and get to meet different cultures and, you know, be a part of these things and examine them. And, you know, Neil, he's going to be examining everything everywhere he goes. And it gives you a more global probably view, you know, and a realization that our, you know, commonalities are way more prevalent than our differences. And, you know, I'm sure that had a huge effect on him. And it's kind of probably something that he's exploring in this song.
Yeah, out of the album, this is one of the songs that there's another one, but this one didn't really grab me. But I agree with everything you guys said about the lyrics. So it's very insightful lyrics, and just another example of a great lyricist, storyteller. So
Yeah. The next track, Middletown Dreams. This is one of my favorites on the album, and it's based on Peart's bicycle travel throughout the Midwest of the United States, and imagining the lives of the people he saw on the way. I think it's like a bit romantic. You know, the song deals with people who leave their safe and perhaps stagnant lives and move on to seek their dreams. The second verse, Peart says, was autobiographical, you know, and about the boy wanting to go out and seek his fame, you know. And I just kind of love this song for that. And it reminds me a little bit of the song on Signals, Analog Kid, in a way. It's hopeful in a way. There's a gorgeousness to it, and there's sadness but beauty to it in a way, a little bit. But yeah, it's my favorite track. Perhaps maybe first or second favorite track on the album. Yeah.
well, I have written my notes. This is my favorite song off the album. Very underrated song, Rush. I love everything about it. Very emotional, and the chorus part especially, it just takes you, I don't know, just really hits home somewhere. It hits you in the heart, you know. And yeah, it's just a gorgeous song. Everything about it, love it.
Yeah, not much to add to that. I tend to agree. I don't know if this is my favorite song, but there's a definite real charm to this. You know, another song that matches like the vibe that he's hitting lyrically, and then the music match up really well together. And yeah, really cool song.
Mm-hmm. All right.
The next track, Emotion Detector. I find this to be really synth heavy with guitar accents, and the lyrics are really personal about the risks of intimacy and our own faulty human emotions. I love the chorus. In a lot of ways, this song sets up a soundscape that will be followed up on the next album. Because I once I listened to it again carefully, like, oh, okay, this is going to be echoed a lot in Hold Your Fire. So I just think here's exploring the nature of relationships, as Peart really loves to do, and just continuing to try to understand or wrestle with these concepts in a poetic way.
Yeah, I had my notes. Meh. Motion detector doesn't detect my emotions. It just doesn't do me. So that's no offense. It's still, you know.
Fuck you,
Rush,
Chop
but...
Top.
No, but next we were doing. Sorry, guys.
What about your?
Dread.
No,
So
it's
yeah,
fine.
we've
You know,
already
hey,
talked about. Oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, that's what I love about. I love this discussion that we have, because I like hearing those songs. You know, sometimes we all say yes, this is great. Sometimes we all say no. But then I like the variance. It helps me understand you better as people and friends when some of the songs really resonate with you, or why they don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I like hearing those things. And the fact that you didn't like that, that's great.
Right.
You know, because
Fuck you, Montag. Yeah.
Exactly. My emotion detector is detecting some hostility coming from your end.
Hostility detected.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. We're all
Absolutely.
fans, but some songs resonate with us for all various reasons. And I love hearing those stories from you guys. You know, that makes it very meaningful to me.
You're welcome.
So that I know what songs you guys hate. So that's all I'm going to play when you guys come over. So
All I gotta do is put on a Kiss record for Dreadbull.
Oh, I knew that was coming. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Low-
Gotta bust your balls, buddy.
Shandy.
Gotta bust your balls on it. Sorry. The door was open. I slammed it.
we have to do a Kiss deep dive.
You know, there's so many guests that we've had on that mentioned Kiss, you know, and Kiss is an influence and
Yes,
stuff. I'm
That's
like,
right,
okay,
Christian. One of his favorite Kiss Alive.
you know,
I'm
you know.
telling you, man, Kiss
All right.
Alive's a great record, man. You gotta check it out.
Well, when it comes from people I respect, you know, it makes me start thinking a little bit. So,
Fuck you, Dreadbull.
you know.
Here's my emotion detector. Well, what do you think about this song?
Yeah, a great instrumental section. Again, you know, even though I like the emotional level isn't connecting on this era of Rush, like their musicianship is still top notch. It's there throughout. Like every song on this album is really interesting. And it's high level of musicianship and technicality, and I can appreciate that. You know, I can listen to it just with a technical ear and go, wow, you know, these guys are doing all kinds of cool stuff. And so, you know, I can appreciate it on that level, even though it's not hitting on every level. And yeah, they never let down as far as that goes
Right.
in the high level of musicianship that they bring.
Right, right.
Yep.
Excellent. All right, and we're gonna finish with Mystic Rhythms. I love this song. The percussion, the primal sounds, and hearing that double China back and forth. I think this song is Peart's most personal lyrics on the whole album, and showing the poetry of his musings and the wonder of being human. I think that he wants all of us to connect to, and I think that you know, as Dreadbull, you had mentioned, like these albums are like Peart's, you know, like his thoughts, his journals, almost kind of as he goes through things, and we get to see his interior monologues, and I think this is one of those songs for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with Montag's observations on it. I love the chorus in it too. Mystic rhythm, you know, it's just like there's something serene about it. There's something that I don't know. It's just another standout track, and what a way to close an album. So, and the percussion, of course, is really agree with what Montag's observations on that was. Just very tight, one of my favorite songs as well.
Yeah, I think this is my favorite song. Real cool, pretty progressive track, you know. Sounds really good with headphones on. The guitar riff underneath the chorus is awesome. I really love that. I think that's that's really what makes the song for me. Yeah, I think this is my favorite track on the album.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are moving into 1987's Hold Your Fire. I think this might be the most synth-heavy album of their catalog, but licensed guitar is also prominent. I love this album. I really do. Because it feels
You're wrong.
Yeah. Emotion detector's coming up. What I love about this album, it feels complete. Like it is an album that really demands listening in its entirety. There is a sense of cohesiveness to it, and it's lush. And I think the lyrics are really back to full form in their sense of ache and wonder, and their commentary on human nature and the fragility of our time here. And I think the mix is really satisfying. Peart's drums sound bigger than they have since Moving Pictures. And what I really love is one of my friends in college saw them on this tour, and had the tour booklet, and it had pictures of Neil Peart's drum kit, which looked for all intents and purposes white, but it has a touch of pink on it as well, which I thought was pretty nice. So there's my take of Hold Your Fire.
Yeah, I'd have to say I really like this album as well. There's just something about, you know, I think the guitars are definitely brought up more. Yeah, it's probably the most synth heavy, but I really like a lot of the songs. I like a lot of the choruses. I like a lot of the lyrics, of course. So yeah, I really like Hold Your Fire as well.
All right, Dreadbull, you've been shaking your head and whining like a bitch.
I don't know. Maybe I was getting some synth fatigue by now, but yeah, this one sounds the
I'm
most
getting the
new
motion
wave.
detector going here. Yeah, my motion detector is going up too. No.
Let's hear what you got to say, man.
Yeah, very, very new wave. I mean, honestly, there were moments when I was like, is this Depeche Mode? Am I listening to Tears for Fears right now? Because it is full on poppy new wave, at times. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
This will be a
I just
short
can't
review.
do it.
Oh,
I just
when you
can't.
say
I
that,
can't
you
get
said
into it.
all. Bah, bah. Here's the quote for this. Here's our opener for the show. Bah, bah.
Just it's not hitting me, man. Not
That's
hitting me.
interesting. Yeah. See, now on knowing me, you've known me for most of my life there, Dread.
Hmm.
You probably were very surprised that I chose this as my favorite album. This is
My eyebrows might have went up when you said that.
yeah. This is in like it could be like in my top 5 Rush albums.
Wow.
Because of there's just something about this album that defies. It's bigger than the sum of its parts, and I know it's synth heavy, but there is something about the synth sounds that have less poppy sound to me, and there's more of a deeper resonance.
It's almost
and-
complimentary. at times.
Something, yeah, in a way. And I love the mix. The drums sound fantastic, and we'll get into it. Hold your Force 10. That chorus sets up the sense of awe. I think that Beard writes about. The storm. The lyrics are about the dichotomous nature of being human. Dichotomous. It's like the New World Man returns.
Yeah.
And that's what I think. And I just love this song.
Yeah, agreed. I think another great opening track. The question I had for you guys here is Neil using strictly electronic drums on this album, or was it just a mix of natural with the electronic?
Oh, he does.
I thought
he
it was a mix.
He uses both. He plays acoustic, his acoustic set, and then he accentuates it with electric triggers and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think he's ever played a full song on just electric stuff. He has an accents, a lot of triggers on his traditional kit, but like that beginning, those are little triggers or something he hit with his feet or
really cool
with a pad, but he's always playing acoustic with electronic like additions.
And when he mixes in electronic drums, he makes it pretty obvious, like he's not trying to fake anybody out, like it's a definite,
it's a sound choice that he's making. Right. And then
there's a purpose behind the use, and he just doesn't use it just to use it. So.
And then over time, as technology got better, he could sample these sounds electronically, so he wouldn't have like this giant bell tree, and he wouldn't have to have all these things. He could play a bell tree with a trigger on a like he had that little xylophone that he plays, and each of those he could trigger a different sound, so he could have that there. He wouldn't have to have a bell tree or those kinds of things and clutter up the kit. I mean, it's big enough for Christ's sake. But I think the only time he plays the electric kit totally is like when he does like his drum solo. The drum set will spin around, then he sits at the other kit and starts playing that. But so
that's my take on Force 10, though. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get off track.
No, it's cool. Hey, that's what we're here for.
That's what this is about.
Yeah. Dread, you want to tell us how much you hate this song?
I would call this a solid song, but unremarkable. That's my notes. Let's move on.
All right.
No, I'm kidding. I'm probably going to piss so many people off. I don't, I shouldn't be so flippant. Rush is amazing.
And you know what? You like what you like. It doesn't take away from your love from the band.
Right.
Absolutely not.
This is not the era that you really are crazy about. And every band we love has an album or two that we don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And
Except Dream Theater, for me.
I haven't heard the Astonishing. Is that what one was that?
I thought it was great.
Is that the two
that's for another.
That's a
show.
2-disc one. That was a 2-disc one. I know Chop Top does not like the Astonishing.
And I've not
I got
listened to it yet.
couple tracks I like. We'll get into that in a later show.
So yeah, we gotta do a deep dive.
No accounting for taste. As we know.
That's right. That's why we keep you around, Dread.
Well,
Time Stands Still. This is really a beautiful and bittersweet song about how quickly time passes and the wish to slow things down. We've heard this song earlier, a few albums ago, the same theme, talking about that. And what I find is that it's the lyrics are full of ache, but there's also a call to stand in the now. Like, don't let the day pass you by. There's too many friends and family, and life will pass you by, and you'll miss if you're busy. And I think the guest vocals by Amy Mann are just really haunting, and as pretty as she was when she sang this. I don't know what she's doing now, but hey, Amy Mann, you want to come on the show? We'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, I everything you said about it, Montag. Amy Mann's vocals, I think, are very complimentary to Getty, and yeah, just really a song that really just pulls at your emotions and stuff, and how quickly, like I said, time goes by, and how fragile it is as well. So yeah, excellent track.
Yeah, I actually like this song. I like this one a lot.
Aha!
I wish they would have brought
Yeah.
Amy Mann in for more tracks on this. I wish she would have just been a part of this entire album. I think that would have been cool,
That
to
would've been
just
different,
bring
yeah.
her in throughout. But yeah, good song. But my God, have you seen the video? Do you
Yeah.
remember the video
Well,
for this?
yes, it gets
is
ripped now, but it was
god-awful.
cutting edge at the time.
Right.
Oh boy, Getty looks like a complete dork. I mean, dork.
With his
It's
hair.
cringy. It is
He had a
cringy. Yeah,
mullet,
hair
didn't he?
pulled back.
Like a mullet fro, like a fro mullet.
I don't know what it was. You can't even. There's no name for it.
There was nothing. Yeah,
And they're like they're flying around the screen constantly, like wow, 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 wow.
Right.
It is. Oof, ooh,
I
boy,
had a
it's
seizure
bad.
watching it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It does get in the way of the song and the beauty of the
It
song.
does. It really. It's a terrible video for the song.
Yeah.
It's not indicative of the song that it's portraying at
Exactly.
all.
Yeah.
It's like somebody got a new piece of technology and they just went bonkers.
That's exactly what it was. It's like
that-
watching the Yes video for Leave It, or the Dire Straits Money for Nothing. Cutting edge video. Now you look at it now, like it's
Right,
cringy. But yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, did not do the song any justice.
No,
whatsoever.
not at all. But the song is beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, Open Secrets. I have Peircean philosophical treatise about the dangers of holding things in and the healing power of letting things go within the context of personal relationships. Way before Frozen, Neil Peart taught us the importance of letting go. The chorus is really driving and smooth, I thought.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's nothing else I can say about the song, just what you said. I mean, it sums it all up. It's another good song. Of course, we like the album, so But yeah, I enjoy this one as well, Montag. And it's a very deep song, obviously. Again, we're getting more into away from maybe some of the political lyrics and stuff from Power Windows. This is a very personal album, I think, in the content lyrically.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, Neil never writes bad lyrics. Like every song that he writes is deep and emotional, and is thoughtful, and he's never written a bad song other than that one. We talked about one, didn't we?
We had
It
a
was pretty
lyric
bad.
that was bad. It was just a one line.
Oh, just one
In-
line.
in the-
Okay,
in the,
we gave him a
Yeah, in the
pass on
Signals
that.
album. Yeah.
Right.
The excitement's so thick you can cut it with a knife. We had to give him a pass on that.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, he hasn't
Okay.
written a bad song. It was like one line, so
Maybe somebody bumped his hand and it was supposed to be something else.
Something. It's okay.
But yeah, this is where at this point in the album, the songs are feeling kind of formulaic. It almost feels like each song is kind of following this formula, and every time I'm kind of waiting for something to happen. Maybe an interesting time change, or just I'm waiting for something that never happens.
Sure.
With each of these songs.
It's a straightforward pop rock album. In a way. Pop prog. Yeah, I get it. I understand. It does feel like we're gonna write 10 songs that are all about 4.5 minutes long each.
Right.
Yeah. All right. I get it. Well, the next 4.5 minute song, Second Nature, is Peart pleads for all of humanity to focus on the things that connects most of us, decent people, in hopes that we will can all be better. So Peart looks on the larger bowl here, as he does so often, meaning the world, looking at the macrocosm and making his case through subtle pleading that we can all at least try to be better, or in his words, get closer. Again, the music is consistent it doesn't stand out. It's not one of my favorite songs on the album. I've got a few other ones I really, really like, but again, I focus on Peart's lyrics. And again, here's this this focus on this album is just, it's his journey. He's still crying for these. He wants these things, and he just kind of writes them in different iterations, different variations on the same theme.
Right, I agree. It's not one of my favorites either, Montag, but lyrics again insightful, which we come to expect. Again, this album is just it's personal in nature, and really dwelling on the human emotion aspect. That's if I had to put one label on this album right there, it's all about human emotion throughout this album, more so than some of the predecessors before that.
Yeah, nothing different really to add. My notes all were mostly about just the content of the song, the lyrics, and what it was about. So yeah, again, not a song that grabbed my attention really.
Moving on to Prime Mover, about the myriad things that make us human, that move and stir us. Peart uses the word point as a metaphor, cleverly showing us all that the small moments we all share. He also puts himself into position as prime mover, as I set the clouds in motion. I like the lyrical play on this one. And again, the music is not what stands out for me here. It's part of the overall, I guess, wash of this album. And maybe it's why it's so pleasing in a way. It's music that can be put on in the background, or it's soothing in a way that Rush I don't expect from. It doesn't challenge me, but the lyrics are what I focus on, and I find this to be another one of those where he's wanting us to think. Use our brains. A call to use our brains.
Yeah, I agree. I focused on the lyrics on this as well. It might be one of my favorite, if not my favorite song on the album, though, which is weird, but yeah, I really enjoy it overall. Again, lyrically, what can you say? And yeah, and like you said, Monte, that interplay in the lyrics is really enjoyable. So yeah, it's a good track.
Yeah, this one actually had a pretty cool instrumental section in it. Now I really like Neil kind of goes off a bit on the drums at the end. Wish it would have lasted a little longer. He has some really nice drumming right at the very end of the song.
Right.
If I remember correctly, it kind of fades out. But
Are you talking about lock and?
lock and key.
No, we're not talking about lock and key yet.
Where did I move? Where
We're still
are we at?
prime mover.
Oh, prime mover. Never mind.
I agree with you on the lock and key.
Yeah, we'll get to. We already got your review of it, so just be me and Montag.
Okay, you just have to cut this out and paste it later. Prime mover. Okay, yeah, okay. Oh, here we are.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so yeah, my notes here. This is so yeah, I get increasingly frustrated by the fact that I'm just not enjoying it. And I don't want to not enjoy Rush, but it's just it's what happens when every time I listen to this album. It just I want to like it, and I frustratingly can't figure out something to latch onto to pull me through. So yeah, sorry.
Okay, hey, no problem, man. It is an era that is very divisive, and I think that the next era, the first couple albums there are, I feel the way you do there, Dread. I'm not fans of those records, really. There are some good songs, but there's some problems.
It's tough to do a show like this when you're not liking the material very much. Like,
right? Yeah, I get it.
What do I say? What can I say about it?
Right. The next album I really like that comes out of here is Counterparts. So we got a few more albums that are like in this era. But of all this whole era, this album stands out. But it is representational of all these things. But moving on to Lock and Key, you want to tell us about Lock and Key there, Dreadbull?
Yeah, ditto what I said moments ago. Yeah, this one, right. Good instrumental, great drumming right at the end of this track. I kind of miss it because he hasn't really done a great solo. Although, like I said, his drumming is always good. It's whether
And
it's
there
real
are great
bombastic.
fills. There are a lot of good fills, but it's
Exactly.
not to the
Detail
point where it
filled.
stands out. But I think this song
Mhm.
definitely stands out.
Correct.
It is a protracted drum break, and I could have listened to another 4 measures or 8 measures with that because it
Exactly.
was so powerful and so good. And that's why this song is one of my favorite on the album. It is very dramatic and intense. The lyrics are about it, but then the drums. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I talked over you, man.
No, I think this is one of my favorite tracks on here too, Montag. And I love the beautiful. I think it has a beautiful melody, and that drumming. You're right, is a standout on it. So,
Mhm.
yeah, what a great one.
I like the lyrical content. It's about our efforts to suppress all the ugly and anti-civilized emotions, our animal instincts that lie just beneath the collective and individual surface.
Right.
And but again, those drums, and I can really hear, and there's a great big fill at the end of that drum break, where you really hear the tonal beauty of those drums, which unfortunately has been missing a lot, and in the previous albums. But I like hearing those big sounds, and the drums sound big, and you can hear them running through your head. It's just a beautiful, very powerful song.
Absolutely.
Unlike the next song, which is not that it's not big, but it's a softer song, Mission. I think it's a beautiful song about the need for both dream and effort, drive and imagination, and how both work together to accomplish what the dreamer wishes to accomplish. So you have to have a drive, a purpose, a reason, and a dream, but you have to work to get what you want. And I think that the ethereal nature of the music kind of focuses or emanates, or not emanates, kind of symbolizes. God, fuck. So I cut all this shit out. I think the keyboards represent, they have the ethereal quality that I think symbolizes or shows that dreamlike, part of the mission. And so I like the message behind it. But then that verse or the bridge right before the last chorus kind of quiets down, and says it's cold comfort for those without it, how they suffered and how they are, it goes into a very personal kind of moment where it's quiet, but then the drums kind of build up and driving toward the end where it pushes, like the music echoes these themes really beautifully. And it's a well-crafted song.
Yeah, I'm total agreement. I have nothing else to add on that one. You've said it all for me. I think it is a beautiful song, and I think it's maybe underappreciated or overlooked, maybe as part of the album or part of that era. But it is beautiful, and it is kind of hauntingly ethereal, and so all the things you touched on for that.
Yeah, I particularly like the second half of this song. There's sort of a little progressive section instrumental, and then it kind of crescendos with some really cool keyboards and a great guitar solo at the very end. Yeah, really, really like that. So at least the second half of the song.
Yeah.
Quite enjoyed.
Yeah, it focuses differently. It changes direction a little bit. Yeah. Next track is Turn the Page, where it's about the rush of time coming at us and our tendency to focus on ourselves, to disengage and turn the page. The song is driving with a great offbeat China hits in the chorus. And I think that driving nature symbolizes the rush of time in a way. I think Licensed solo is a bit wild, perhaps also adding to that symbolism. I don't know. What do you think?
That's exactly what I thought, especially a solo. When you talked about Licensed solo, it is. I think it does accentuate the overall tone of the song, the lyrics of it. So, yeah. So I like the tempo of it. I like the song. So,
Yeah, this was another song that was like a really great instrumental section, kind of surrounded by music that I just found forgettable, to be honest. Sorry.
Hey, darn it.
I'm
You gotta
just like,
keep it real, man. You gotta keep it real. Don't
I'm
hold
taking
back.
notes as I went through this album. Now that I'm like reading them out loud, going, my God, I'm really, really kind of dour here. I didn't intend to be, but this is just
Be mad because the Browns
is-
lost.
maybe
God damn it.
this sucks. Oh yeah, I
Well, hey,
apologize.
it's an era. I get it, man.
Just,
That's good. We're honest.
Just
That's
is what it is for me.
You know, Tai Chan is the next song. I think the song is Lush. It's a gorgeous song about Pierce's visit to China. Using Chinese instrumentation, the song carries the listener off to the foot of the holy mountain, Mount Tai in Shandong province. But both Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson have considered this to be one of their worst songs. Lee called it an error, saying we should have known better in a 2009 interview with Blender magazine, and Lifeson, in a 2012 interview with Total Guitar magazine, said it didn't quite work as an idea and it's a little corny, unquote.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's odd because this is one of my favorites. It's one of the songs I really like on this album.
Yes, mine too. It's a great song.
I thought it was more reminiscent of like early Rush. It kind of reminded me of some early stuff, and like, it was, one of the, at least a moment. I'm like, oh, okay, I can get wrap my head around this.
I can hear that.
That's
in that
odd.
song. Yeah, Dread.
Yeah, I love the Asian inspired
Mhm.
instruments and stuff in here. I
Yeah.
thought that added a nice layer. I liked this one.
Yeah, the way they sound, and even the license, like plucking and bending the guitar strings, again, emulating the Asian instruments, the Chinese. I don't remember the name of the instrument, their stringed instruments, but it's got that kind of twangy, kind of sound.
Yeah.
But they were really kind of doing that, and maybe that's what it was, because I don't know if they were feeling pressure from some people, the woke people, saying, "Oh, cultural appropriation," or they just, as an artist, you look back and say, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Who knows? But I think it's a beautiful song too. So we all are in agreement with this one. Finally, one song we all agree with.
All right.
Then off to High Water. It's an interesting finisher about the powerful pull that water has on our collective unconscious.
What an interesting topic.
Yeah, I personally love being near the water. I found it soothing, it's comforting, but I also feared large bodies of water. I know there's something huge and monstrous down in the dark. Yeah, and I don't want it to come up and eat me.
Right.
And the line, I think one of my favorite lines is, we still feel that elation when the water takes us home. It's not hard to imagine standing on the prow of a ship as it head back toward the dock. There's something primal about traveling by sea, I think, returning to land. And I think it's what it connected to in that. I think it's a really interesting song.
Yeah, and I'd read where Neil said he was in the, what inspired this song, he was in the center of one of Japan's biggest cities, and the noise pollution was just incredible. But he right in the middle of the city, there was this little garden with a small waterfall that ran over some stones, and it was designed in such a way that if you sat by the waterfall, the sound of the water would drown out all of that noise pollution of the city. And so he believed that the Japanese sort of really understood the therapeutic nature of water. And so that's what inspired this song. Really cool.
We must be hitting the same sites for our research.
Oh, okay.
I had that quote too. Yeah, from 1988, right?
Okay.
Cheer.
I beat you to it.
Yep.
I think what gets me lyrically, is basically when he talks about returning to water, and everything. Because if you think about it, I mean, that's how we're developed in the womb. We're in water, and then we come out and then we're returning to water, it's almost the beginning, ending of the life cycle. Kind of what maybe I'm looking too far into it, or too a deep analogy too much, but it that's what I kind of think of with it.
I don't think you can look too deep. I mean, if a song even I think hits you in a certain way that wasn't even intended by the artist, that's still okay. I think it's fine if you find your own meaning in a song, even if that wasn't the original intention of whoever wrote it.
Okay. Yeah.
Great thing about music. So
because that's just, music is so uniquely personal. In that regard, a line or a riff or something that's going to affect us all differently, and that's I think one of the great things about it. We are all talking about the same album and coming away with different emotional attachments or lack thereof on each of these songs. And I think that's what amazing. It's an amazing thing about music. It's like a piece of art, interpreting a piece of art. We all can get something different from it. And that's, I think, one of the beautiful things about it.
Cool.
Well, that just leads us to a show of hands, the live album that kind of encapsulates this era. I think it showcases this synth forward era wonderfully, save for Witch Hunt, the only song that really is one of two songs that are out of this era. Witch Hunt sounds amazing. It's a great sounding version of it, and Closer to the Heart, which I found to be a really odd choice to end the show. Of course, it may not be the way they ended it, but that's how they end the album. Every other track is taken from their previous 4 albums. So the Rhythm Method showcases a drum solo style that Neil Peart has kept for most of his career, and then Force 10 sounds particularly energetic. I thought Red Sector A sounds off in terms of where it comes in the show. The set list wise, perhaps it would have been stronger earlier. Of course, this CD is likely half of the show they performed, so or at least the album. So it's hard to say where it came in the actual set list. But I think it's a great chronicle of this era of Rush. The band sounds tight. The songs sound great in spite of their more rigidly metered structure and construction sound. So I think it's a really good album for this era.
I'm going to go the opposite. I really don't care for it as a live album. It's probably my least favorite live Rush album. So I wish they incorporated more of the old stuff in there. I know they're in that period, right? So they're highlighting these releases where they're selling it, continuously selling out, and they're doing very well, and their videos are everywhere. But strange closer, or if it was a closer, Closer to the Heart. I'm just not a fan. Production wise, I think it sounds great, and I agree with the instrumentation observation as far as they're very tight. They're in the pocket in this. But for me, it wasn't not a grabber. Not when I go back to.
Yeah, I've not listened to this album much just because of the content, the songs that are on it aren't my favorite. But production wise, I think this is their best album production wise. I mean, I love the production on here. I think it grabs the nice balance of bringing in some audience sound and the ambience of live sound. You can hear all the instruments really, really nice and clear. So yeah, production wise, it's top notch. I don't know how you do much better with a live sound with Rush than this album. But set list.
Give me 1 minute, guys. Sorry.
Where you're going, you son of a bitch. Let's talk about him. Let's talk about him.
Yeah, talk about him. Yeah, we need a new producer for a show.
We're gonna get somebody new. Let's get rid of this guy.
We're secretly gonna surprise him with a Gene Simmons guest spot.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Montag, you ass.
Yeah. New producer time.
Down with the producer. Hostile takeover.
Yeah.
This guy
Mutiny on heavy
sucks.
metal horror. Yeah, mutiny on heavy metal horror. Oh, that's gonna be great. Get his reaction when he finally hears that.
Pompous ass.
You asshole. You son of a bitches.
Piece of shit. Never did like you.
Yeah.
I've put up with you for 40 years.
Yeah, you thought I was your friend. I faked it the whole fucking time.
Oh, he's back. Shh.
Don't worry, I got it all recorded. I want to give you guys a call at 2 in the morning. What the fuck, man?
What was that all about?
You cocksuckers!
We'll get a phone call. All I'll say is, fuck you.
That's right. That's right. Don't worry. I can make that part of the show. Yeah, between the kidneys having to be irrigated for kidney stones, and sometimes when the diabetes gets a little kicks in, it's like my bladder has no ability to hold, like it says, you got to go now. So
Yeah, gotta do what you gotta do, man.
exactly.
Getting old and fragile.
We'll get up there, fellas.
I know. I felt bad. Like I peed before and I'm like, by the time, that's why I had to leave during the interview with Sorcerer's. Like, fucking hit me. Like, oh, I can't hold it. I'm like, I got a little bottle here. I'm like, I'll fill that one up. That's no, like,
you don't do that.
so,
Don't do the piss shiver live on the air.
Right. You don't that. Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm gonna start wearing diapers, man. Just fucking.
Or to see you go. Oh.
Yeah. That moment of hesitation beforehand, like, oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to pee on myself.
Montag?
I have to turn off my audio. Like, otherwise, you're gonna be going.
Hear the bottle.
Oh no, it's gonna spill over.
Oh, no.
I told you to get the 32-ounce one.
Oh, God.
Oh man.
Honey, get me a bottle.
Yeah.
Oh man. So hey, I agree with you. Like I had never listened to this album until we had to do the review for the show, because it's just not that exciting for me to hear these songs. But with every era they do, though, until the last era, I think, when they started doing these more retrospective kind of shows, when you're playing a 2.5, 3-hour show, you're going to play a lot more variety of stuff. But each of the 3 live albums have been really good documents of that time period.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I give them kudos. But I think now as they progress going forward, I think once they hit like R30, then or different stages even, they started bringing in the old stuff, as we'll talk about when we see it down the road. But yeah, so all right. I think we have said what we need to say about this era. I think we all love Rush. It's not particularly our favorite era for various reasons, but there's a lot of good material in these albums. And but I, for one, am looking forward to getting to Counterparts. So that's a top 5 album for me. But hey, you can find Heavy Metal Horror on unsaneradio.com. You can listen to full episodes or download to your device. You can find us on Facebook, Heavy Metal Horror Podcast. On Instagram, look for Montag Lewis, one word. Our brand new YouTube page, Heavy Metal Horror Podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you know someone who'd like our show, tell them about us. This has been Montag, Master of Illusion.
Chop top.
And Dreadbull.
And you've been listening to Heavy Metal. Stumpy.
This is Doug Helvering, and you have been listening to Heavy Metal Horror, the best podcast that you've never heard before.